Ooh, baby, it's cold outside, but it's hot in here. It's episode 14 of Better Than Broadway. Make some noise, boys. Yeah. We got a great show for you guys today. This is... Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, don't actually sing that song. You're going to get us canceled. They canceled that song last year, remember?
People don't really know what that song's about. They don't have a clue. So anyway, today is our part 2 of our Best of 2022 series. But before we get started today, we would like to give Chef Ryan the floor because he has a very special guest to introduce to us today. Ryan, take it away.
Yeah. This is my good friend Steve Waites, also known as Chef Waites, also known as Hollywood, also known as whatever you want, whatever he's making up the day of CrossFit.
That's right.
I hear it's something different every time.
I have a so now do they call you CrossFit Hollywood Chef Steve because you had a CrossFit gym that also had a boutique deli next to it?
That is correct.
When you lived in LA? Okay, that's what I thought.
That is correct.
Okay. I was just making sure. I've been doing I keep copious notes. I've been doing my research on you.
It was short-lived, but I'm glad you heard about it.
All the glory days.
Yes, sir. How y'all fellas doing? Y'all all right?
Doing great.
Doing great.
It is doing lovely super outside.
I'm
baby,
not
it's cold out here.
Yeah, baby, it's cold outside.
Ryan had me on. He had me over his house, and he sat outside and left me inside. So thank you, Ryan.
You are welcome, dude. Well, there's that fire behind you. So.
That's true.
That's a real friend. Yes, give it up for Ryan, y'all.
All right, well,
he's trying to play the martyr role here, but realistically, he's actually just trying to get that perfect light on his face. Because guys, look how beautiful he is.
I mean, how can you not?
It's like, and you got the fingerless gloves, like.
I gotta look good, If I'm gonna be on, gotta make sure you look good, man.
You look like.
Rob, what do we have today?
Like
what do we got today?
In The Last Dragon, when he started glowing.
That's deep, sick reference, dude.
Yeah,
deep reference. I love it.
Yeah. So anyway, Steve, we like to play a little game with our guests here on Better Than Broadway. We like to hear your thoughts and opinions on things. You are our featured guest. So first and foremost, who is your favorite wrestler of all time and why? Question 1.
I have 2. One is The Rock, and I think my 1A is going to surprise you, and it's Diesel.
Okay.
Which is just random. But Diesel came and he was like behind HBK, and he was just like, he was the first tall guy I seen. Not like Andre the Giant, but like when I started watching as a kid, it was Diesel. And I was the tallest person in my class, so I just gravitated towards Diesel.
Yeah.
And he did the power bomb. I never seen nothing like it.
That was big.
And he was tall and in shape too. That was the difference. There were big guys, but like even Andre the Giant wasn't big. I'm so glad you said that. I immediately like you, the fact that you said that, because I have, as you may not know, but as Rob and Ryan know, because I talk about it all the time, I got a chance to kind of befriend Kevin Nash when I lived down at Daytona, and we both worked at the same gym. And I got a chance to tell him, like, hey, you're one of the reasons why I started working out. And he really was. He was one of the reasons why I started working out. When I saw him walk out there behind HBK, like you were saying, like just, 7 foot tall, quote unquote. He's like 6'10" and a half, legit. But like, and just jacked and just, I'm like, what is this? Like, this guy's like from another planet.
Badass.
Yeah, and he just had that charisma. He didn't have a whole lot of skill sets as far as like moving, but you don't have to when you're a big guy. That's what drew me to him. He just had this like slow walk. He just looked like whatever happened, like he was going to handle it,
And it was cool with him, and all eyes was on him when he walked in. He was the man.
Absolutely.
And then the second one is The Rock.
Yeah, The Rock.
Yes,
I just think The Rock is the best. I just think The Rock is the best. All stages of The Rock is just the best. He doesn't do nothing wrong.
Argue that.
Yeah, he doesn't do nothing wrong.
So you said all stages. So, but if you had to pick your favorite version of The Rock, what would it be? Would it be
that's a good question.
Would it be
Heel Rock.
Nation of Domination?
Right after Nation, with the feud with Stone Cold around that
Oh
time.
yeah. Yeah,
that feud was so
he's
good.
wearing all those silk shirts in the Gucci loafers. That's where it's at.
Yeah,
Miami
that's the best rock.
The lead up to
Miami Rock
to WrestleMania 17 was one of the greatest lead ups to any. I think we talked about that last podcast. And it was like one of the greatest lead ups to any match ever. Like that montage that they showed before the match with Rock versus Austin. Oh my God. Limp Bizkit.
Oh yeah,
that's some good memory. That's a really good memory.
He has you don't know this, but Justin has a TV on in his house at all times that just streams WWE Network, and it just goes loop on loop all day long.
All day.
I thought you were going to say something else was on, and I'm so glad you went with WWE Network. Yeah, it's the WWE Network. It's oily men wrestling each other. That's the WWE Network. That's totally what it is.
Wrestling Entertainment or Walk with Elias. WWE for Justin stands for Women with. Never mind. We're gonna move on.
I was going to say.
So Steve,
wet, wobbly eggplants.
Oh no. Oh god. So Steve, question number two. When we have a guest on BTB, we want to know what your favorite match of all time is.
That's hard.
Or favorite moment.
Moment, right.
I have a favorite moment.
Moment.
So my favorite moment was when I realized I was really into wrestling. It was when Bret Hart beat Diesel. And he beat him in a schoolboy, I want to say. It was a roll-up.
Yeah.
It was a roll-up.
Yep, right. And my heart was broke. But then I want to say after that, Diesel turned heel, and I didn't know back then. And my heart, I was so mad. I just remember talking to my mom that I couldn't believe he did that. When Diesel turned heel, I was so mad. Yep.
I remember I saw the Raw after that, and he was like, everyone saw Diesel, you're smiling, and what's up with you? And he's like, screw all y'all, like, I'm gonna wreck everyone. You're like, oh snap, okay.
I love that you keep saying Diesel too, because for one, you're kind of showing your age a little bit. But when most people think Kevin Nash, they think NWO. But a lot of people forgot that he was super over long before he ever made the switch with Scott Hall. Yeah. I mean, that definitely skyrocketed the both of them into like, legendary, historical status, within the industry. But I mean, Diesel was a huge, I mean, he was probably the biggest, even as a valet, no pun intended, like he was the biggest valet, bodyguard, whatever you want to say. Like he got over in a very kind of that traditional way. And I don't know, was he the first one to do that? Because it's common now. You have a valet, a manager that gets over from another person. They put them with them and then all of a sudden they're this killer.
Kind of gets their training wheels off.
This happened a lot. Obviously, it happened. The most recent one, Wardlow, I would say.
Yeah,
Wardlow, MJF.
Was Diesel the first one to do that? Can you guys think of anybody that they did that with prior to that?
I don't
Rob,
know.
that would probably be a you question,
WCW question, but also or NWA.
Actually, and I was getting ready to say that because actually Kevin Nash, Diesel, et cetera, was before he came to WWF. Was known as Vinny Vegas, and his valet was Diamond Dallas Page.
That's right. I do remember Diamond Dallas Page. That was interesting, though. But was that before? Because DDP was a valet. DDP was old when he started. Wasn't DDP in his 40s when he first started?
He was in his late 30s.
He was in his late 30s when he got into the wrestling business, and they started out in AWA. With Vernon Greg Gagne, and he was Dallas Page, and he had the Diamond Doll and all that stuff. And then he brought it along, and then when he came to WCW, he started working with Kevin Nash, and Kevin was Vinny Vegas, and that was the deal, man. And then as soon as in mid 1993, he made the jump over to WWF and became Diesel, and he was with Shawn, and it just kind of rolled from there, and that was a really good era of wrestling. That new generation, that new generation with all the gimmicky characters really was. It made wrestling fun again because the Hulk Hogan was gone. It was 1993-94. Hogan had left for WCW, and Ric Flair had gone back to WCW and NWA, so you really didn't have any big stars. So Vince had to create.
You had to make them.
Bret Hart, and Shawn Michaels, and Stone Cold, and all these guys, and you bring Diesel in to work with Shawn because the bad guy Razor Ramon was already kind of establishing himself as the guy with the Intercontinental title. So I mean, you had a really good plethora of characters during that era, and
right.
God, now that you say Diesel, man, I'm getting nostalgic because God, he was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm saying too. I mean, then I think a 1-2-3 kid getting put over Razor Ramon when they first did that. But what's interesting, Rob, you were talking about like these new characters that came in. They still had these over the top characters, but it was kind of the changing of the guard from like you're saying like Hulk Hogan and like all these like more cartoon characters to workers, like guys that could actually work. Oh, yeah. Because like we all know Hulk Hogan wasn't a great wrestler. We all know that, a lot of the other big names or whatever weren't. Maybe Macho Man Randy Savage was a good worker, but like, a lot of those names weren't necessarily the best workers. But then you have like Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart were, arguably two of the greatest, in-ring talents of all time. And, so it was a kind of a changing of the guard in the sense of like, they still had the story. They still had the bigger than, but it was almost more realistic, if that makes, even though it was ridiculous, right? Like the gimmicks were ridiculous.
Well, I mean, I think it's one of those things of like everyone can identify with, being strong. And, but you don't. And so when you do hit someone with a clothesline or a punch, like, yeah, I can do that. But like, doing a running and then like flipping over the turnbuckle that like Shawn Michaels can do.
Nobody does it like him.
I can't do it. Yeah. I would die. I would just like break my neck on the first like tumble.
Him and Flair did that. And then just, the walk and then all of a sudden just face plant. That was great. You know what's funny though? You made a comment about, we were talking about Diamond Dallas Page being old. Isn't it depressing to you guys that like you hear like at our age, we're like, well, I was just talking to somebody the other day, like, you know what, 39 is not that old, 30, late 30s, 40s, not that old. And then you talk about sports and like you're watching football or something like, and here comes the oldest player in the league, 37. It's a miracle that he's still alive. Like what the, no, that's not old. Like
I was watching football the other day and it was talking about
Julio Jones. He's going to do break in half.
Yeah, they talk about how old Diamond Dallas Page was when he started. But like, I mean, he was like younger than we are. 50.
And I'm like, man, he's only 33. And yeah, it's pretty. He's not.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. And I mean, in football years,
that's the beautiful thing about wrestling. I mean, look at Bill Goldberg. Bill Goldberg's been in his 30s when he started WCW. I mean,
I know Billy Gunn was
59. 66 years old. Billy Gunn. We talk about Billy Gunn all the time. Billy Gunn is 59, and he is
59. Looks great.
Jericho's in. Yeah.
We didn't either. We had to look it up. We're like, how old is he? And we looked it up. We're like, because we were thinking like, I think Ryan had heard he was 57, and I thought he was 60, and so we're like, yeah, he's 59 years old.
So by Price is Right. So by Price is Right standards, Ryan didn't go over. Ryan wins.
yeah, there you go. Yeah,
that's exactly how it works.
Steve,
Price
$1.
Steve, I got one more question for you, and then we'll go into our best of series. What is your bet? What is
receipt,
your favorite
maybe?
insider
like
term
receipt.
in wrestling?
Ooh.
Yeah, I like receipt.
I like your.
That's a good one.
That's a great one.
Yeah, that's a good one. That is a good one.
So for those of you that are listening to our podcast for the first time, a receipt is where a wrestler tags somebody in the ring for real, and the receipt is where the wrestler gives them payback by hitting them in the same way. One of the best receipts ever was when Randy Orton hit the Undertaker with a chair, and he got him right in the head, made him bleed, and the Undertaker was like, "Okay, you kid, I'll get you later. You're fine. You're fine."
Yeah, so typically.
He just crushed him with this chair like 17 times. It's hysterical.
Typically, receipts are for potatoes, right? So a guy hits it, it's like, oh, he potatoed me. He gave me a potato. Right. And then the receipt is like, I gave him the receipt for that potato. That's cool. I didn't even realize we haven't done that. Do you guys have one? I don't think we talked about that in the podcast yet. What's y'all's favorite?
What's that?
Insider baseball terminology.
Oh man. Okay.
I think mine's powder. I like powder.
I like powder. Powder's cool.
Oh.
Taking a powder. So it's typically when a heel can't take the heat from a baby face, and they have to jump out of the ring to go take a breather.
Oh, wow.
They call that a powder. Go take a like. I gotta leave. I gotta go powder my nose. Like a girl does, basically. It's typically something a heel does.
I have to add that. I like that.
Interesting.
But I'll use that. I'll use that in everyday life.
Powder.
I'm like, I gotta take a powder. I'm out of this one, guys. I can't handle this shit.
You're gonna have to come back to me on that one because I got to do some research.
Yeah.
What about you, Rob?
I was not ready to be put on the spot.
It's fine. It's fine. We'll play with that one another time. But I like the fact that we're seeing powder really good. Everybody's got their own things. I mean, there's so many things in kayfabe that you gotta deal with. But I don't know. That's another one. That's another one that we got to deal with. But this is a great turn, great opportunity for us to pivot.
That's like the ultimate, right?
This is our best
we're not supposed to talk about it.
2022 show. No, we're good. We're good. No, this is our best of 2022 show, and we're going from the months of May to August. So we have 3 matches for you guys today. I've got one. Ryan's got one. Steve's got one. We're all going to sit down and discuss it, and we're going to go ahead and I'm going to give the floor to Steve. He is our guest, and I think that it needs to be on Steve. So we all agree. Steve, what was your best match of 2022 from May to August?
Yeah, Steve, I'm giving you mine because when we picked these, both of the 2 that I wanted, Rob and Ryan already had. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but we were all in agreement for them.
Well, I had
we typically do 3, so
I couldn't
no
go
pressure. But you got to pick one that we don't have.
Both of them, like I wanted to,
and we're not going to tell you what it is.
I have Roman versus Drew at Cash at the Castle. That one, and I also had Street Profits Usos at Money in the Bank.
Oh, that's a good one.
I feel like that was
good match.
That was my favorite Street Profit match. Everything about that match. I didn't know Street Profits could do that. Angelo Dawkins did some stuff in that match. I didn't know he was able to do.
What about that match did it for you?
Like they're really good.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Angelo Dawkins.
Montez Ford.
Yeah, that's the one where
Montez Ford usually he carries them a lot.
He kind of came out because typically, they were both good, like it's what's the other one's name? Holy crap.
Montez Ford.
Montez Ford. Yeah, he cared, but like Angelo Dawkins, he's in better shape really too. Been putting in the work.
He's in way better shape. He's wrestling with no shirt on, no speed. He doesn't have the uniset.
He's just really upped his work rate, and I think
unitard.
That was, like I said, that was a banger.
Yeah, he wore unitard.
Yeah, he is
the unicycle over the short singlet. That's what I'm looking for.
The unitard,
or no, the unitard. Yeah,
is it unitard or the unicycle or whatever?
That's a singlet.
Yeah, he's looking good now. So I'm rooting for Angelo Dawkins right now. But that was a really good match. Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the that was a great match, and one of the best spots in that match was when they had Jey Uso up in the electric chair, and Montez jumps off and does the blockbuster. And
there was a lot of close. There was a lot of close falls in that match.
And then the hand is coming down, and with it was 2 7/8. It was so damn close, and Jey kicks out. It was. I mean,
yes.
I think I'm not entirely sure, but I do believe that that's where they debuted the 1D finisher.
That is. I think that's the match 3D. Because nobody's seen that finisher coming. Everybody thought he was going to kick out.
I don't know if that's true, but I think it was right around that time they started using that move.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Montez Ford.
I love the build. I love the build for Drew and Roman in that match. Because Drew really he kind of came on hard times for the build up to that match. It's like he couldn't catch a break. He had the whole bloodline against him. Yeah. He had the whole bloodline against him, but then that was during the build when they were wondering what was going on with Bray Wyatt, or was he going to return? Who was all this stuff? Some of the people thought that it was Damian or not Damian.
Karrion Kross.
Oh my gosh, I just blew a blank. Yeah, Karrion Kross. thought it was him. And then Karrion Kross came back and attacked Drew. So he had him on his back. And then, I think there was some stuff with Bobby. It just seemed like everybody was trying to take out Drew. Talk about like a baby face coming into this match in his, hometown. Obviously, it's like 1,000 miles from where he actually grew up, but, close enough, right? That's WWE terminology because cultural appropriation and all that.
Hey, it's like an inch or, half an inch on the globe. So it's the same.
It's close.
It's close enough.
It's like how Joe Rogan talks about like how 100 years ago was just two people. Like that's just two people ago. That's not that long.
In the great, in the words of the recent
right on.
Elaine, I'll allow it.
Yes, that's why that was one of the highlights of that match.
And I love Clash of the Castle too because that was the debut.
It was so many spots in that match. The headbutt, that was the best headbutt.
What do you call it? I forgot about that. Yeah. And then,
oh my God, that whole match.
Theory getting knocked the F out, right?
Yeah.
And then what was off the air, or was I can't remember.
No,
on the air
not Sheamus.
When they sang
the guy that punched Theory?
The song afterwards.
Fury. When
Tyson Fury, I think Drew was out of character, and I think Sheamus came back in. Wasn't that where it was? Like after that.
So. Tyson Fury.
Oh yeah, it was Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury. Yeah, they came in. Yeah, that was
American Pie. Don McLean.
That was hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot.
That whole match was kind of a.
Yeah.
Yeah, Austin Theory tried to cash in, and
they kind of threw all the bells and whistles.
I mean, they made that match really
there's a lot of gimmicks in that match for sure.
Well, I just like that Tyson Fury appeared and then has not returned since. Like, oh no, I'm just gonna hit somebody.
Yeah,
I'm in town.
There were a lot of gimmicks in it, but not nearly as many gimmicks as in Ryan's pick.
Yes,
because that match was literally the gimmick match.
It was fantastic. So I picked SummerSlam from this past summer with Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar.
Cowboy Brock, which I love because for the longest time, Brock Lesnar was like he only wanted to show up for like a pay-per-view, and he was a champion, and basically he would show up, do a squash match, and leave. And it was frustrating to like him. And when they rebranded him as Cowboy Brock, everyone loves him. He's a hillbilly who's kicking ass.
He's just so much fun.
Isn't it interesting how you can take, everybody hated Roman versus Brock when Roman was a good guy and Brock was the bad guy.
I think people were just tired of it.
Everybody was so sick of it and they hated it and it was bland and whatever and it was the McMahon's thing. And literally all they did was reversed it.
And don't forget to cut off sleeves
Brock
on
and
the
everybody's
flannel.
Eating it up.
That's
literally all they did.
It's
just proof. A good hat and a beard can change anybody. That's our staple. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's our staple in this podcast. We like to
I noticed that a couple weeks ago. Oh wow.
So.
That is true. I'm the only one here who cannot. Like
a good beard can change everything.
He said, "I'm so sorry."
Steve, this is as good as I get.
He said, "I'm so sorry."
It's 7 years of beard therapy he's been in, and
oh my god,
I know. Maybe one day.
Thousands of dollars in oils and vitamins, and it just doesn't come.
Rub straight Rogaine on your face; it'll totally work.
I mean, I'm much more satisfied with the hair on top. I'll put it that way.
Well, and that's the thing, because so we talked about this. Steve, you're probably not aware of this, so
best of both worlds for Rob.
I have a very nice beard, not so much up top. Ryan has very nice hair, not so much on the beard. Rob is the only one that has the full package, so we fuck Rob and your gorgeous genetics.
Well, anyways, back to the match. What I loved about it was, Brock comes out on this tractor, and it was reminiscent. What?
So good.
It was reminiscent of like the Steve Austin with the Budweiser truck and Kurt Angle with the milk truck, and then
he didn't even
on
try
there,
to. It just
he talks
his
trash, and he tosses the microphone, just flicks it, and Roman Reigns just catches it.
That's the smoothest catch in all of wrestling history. He didn't even move his hand. It was there.
No. It was so, and then he winks at Brock like we both can't smile, but we're going to talk about that later. And then it was prop central, it was gimmick central. And it was a last man standing match, so it was to squash everything, to where you have the stairs being involved, you have them out in the audience, and then Brock throws Roman into the tractor bed, dumps him out. And then my favorite part was he picked up the entire ring, which again, that's something you don't see. That's something epic that leaves a spot in your mind.
It's very rare that you see something for the first time in wrestling anymore.
Yes.
And that was the first time.
Which it kind of sucks for like the people who are sitting on the other side of the ring.
Oh yeah.
Like I paid $1,000 for front row.
I didn't think about that. Now.
Like what? And then you have the Usos. No, before the Usos come out, Austin Theory runs out, and you're like, oh, he's going to cash in. Here we go. And he goes out there and just gets his ass whipped. F5. And they take the Money in the Bank briefcase and beats Brock with it. And then the Usos come out, and they basically just bury Brock under tables, chairs, and stairs, ending with a pretty epic moment of like Roman Reigns standing on top of him. It was an awesome match. Like, I tried really hard to look elsewhere, but that one match just kept sticking in my head.
Yeah. They did a great job of making it feel cinematic. Especially the end where it's like, God, he just won't go down. He just won't go down. It's like Super Shredder at the end of fucking Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Secret of the Ooze.
Also played by Kevin Nash.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see. Deep reference. Look at that. Bringing it full circle. That's why we get paid the big bucks, guys.
Off subject. Do y'all think Theory was
Kevin Nash?
Theory was in both of y'all's matches.
Money in the Bank on Friday.
Cash in both of them.
That's right.
So that's.
No.
I think they did great because they took it away, and it was almost like, hey, you don't deserve this, which is what a lot of people were saying. And then they just flipped the script, and now he's doing great. It's like what we talked about. Literally, he grew a fucking beard, and now people like him. It's science, guys.
It's a fact. But no, I mean, Steve, like we were literally talking about this in our text chain of like what a wasted spot on Theory. And I was like, maybe, I don't know. Like, I kind of like the fact that like every time someone wins Money in the Bank, you're like, oh, okay, you're going to be the next world champion. And he goes out there and botches it. And I was like, oh, cool. But then he comes back with a vengeance and grew a beard. And I can't. And so really, I'm just jealous. So.
Keep bringing it up.
Why you hate Pat?
It's so true.
Ryan
Fits.
officially hates Austin Theory the same way Justin hates Pat.
Oh, man.
Fuck Pat McAfee. It's okay. So it's kind of an inside joke. I actually love Pat McAfee, but I hate him because he's so damn good. He's like, he's good at everything he does. Like he was an amazing football player. He's got like one of the most popular, amazing podcasts. He's an amazing commentator. He decides to wrestle and he's doing shit off the top rope first try. I mean, like the guy's what, like 6'5", 250, and like still in good shape. Like fuck Pat McAfee.
Who the hell are you?
Give us the rest of us a chance. Yeah, fuck you and your genetics and your this motherfucker's already beat the game. He's just doing side quests and shit.
It's going back for the hard mode.
Yeah, exactly. So no, yeah, Ryan, that was a great match, man. That was, like I said, that was definitely one of my picks.
Mm-hmm.
I love the fact that, and not just that one, but all the ones since Paul Levesque has been doing these things. They seem more cinematic in the way that they're written. It actually feels like there's really legitimate storytelling, not just on a blow by blow, but the undertone and the story arc, which you know about. I mean, you're a screenwriter, and like that's important to me, anyways, when I'm watching something, because I'm not watching this necessarily. I'm especially not watching a Brock Roman match for
the wrestling abilities.
Yeah. I'm watching it to be, and I'm not watching it necessarily for like my suspension of disbelief. I'm watching it to be entertained. I'm watching it for something to make me not be on my phone for, 10, 20, 30 minutes or whatever. And that match did it for me. That match, like, I was invested and I legitimately didn't know what would happen. It was one of those, I was like, I wasn't sure. Like, is Brock, Brock can't be beat. Like, look at this. He can't be beat. Like, what do they have
every
to
single
do?
time he got up, everything, no matter how many times he did the Superman punch or speared him, Brock got up.
But it was also a little, it was a little dark because, at the end of the day, it was too much for him and he collapsed and the bad guy won. And it was a little bittersweet. And it was kind of like, twisted at your heartstrings a little bit. You know what I mean?
Well, it could have been a good metaphor of like the cowboy way is over. Welcome to the new way we do things around here.
Yeah.
It was Brock Lesnar being
welcome
put
to
out
the way
of
life is. Welcome to life post-COVID. Like this. Oh, shoot. I shouldn't have said that. We're going to get canceled.
Steve, last word.
I thought that was a flawless match.
Roman Brock match from
I just thought it was flawless. After it went off, I rewound the whole match. And I think I watched it on Sunday morning too. And I usually don't watch matches like that on repeat, but I watched that one a couple times.
Me and Ryan do that a lot. I've actually been enjoying not watching these matches live, and it just sucks trying to like not look at what happens because like I don't want, I wasn't the kid that went to go look for his presents, before Christmas. Like I like to be surprised, so like it's hard, like especially like I work nights, so it's like I'm strolling on my Instagram, like oh crap, I didn't want to see that.
Oh, it happens to me every Wednesday night because I get home like at 9 and AEW. I'm finding out what's going on.
Yeah, but we've really enjoyed. We really enjoyed watching that, like sitting down with some coffee and watching it. That's how old we are.
Yes.
Well, speaking of old,
and it's always fun to watch. It's always fun to watch Paul Heyman get F5. So moving through.
It's true.
Yeah, moving through. I guess it's time for me.
Rob.
My match,
Rob, yours. Yeah, man, you got it, man. This is to me, in my opinion, this is true. This would be my match too.
There's a lot to unpack, and I'm going to try to get through this pretty quickly. But this is Seth Rollins versus Cody Rhodes at the Hell in a Cell, June 5th, 2022, emanating from the Allstate Arena in Rosemont, which is right outside of Chicago. This is 3 weeks before AEW's Forbidden Door, mind you, but that's not what this is about. What this is about is this is Cody and Seth. This was the third match in their trilogy. Cody re-debuts in WWE as the mystery opponent for Seth Rollins at WrestleMania 38, beats him handily. 1 month later, they run it back at WrestleMania Backlash. Same story. He beats Seth. And then Seth just kind of like in his crazy character keeps going through and he's begging for, he shakes Cody's hand after the match. Then he beats him down and they just start brawling for 3 or 4 weeks. And Cody says he's had enough. He wants him at Hell in a Cell. They're going to finish this. This is the trilogy. And the week before the match, they have a brawl on Monday Night Raw. And Cody, in the gym the very next day, tears his pec clean off the bone. And they're like, we don't know what's going to happen with this match. And they didn't know because that's the main event. This is the main event. This is the only Hell in a Cell match on the whole goddamn show. So you've got to say, okay, what are we going to do?
On Hell in a Cell.
Right.
Are we going to cancel it?
Don't get me started on that. You guys know how I feel about that.
Right. So Cody says, I'm going to wrestle the match. I'm going to do this. This is Seth's 5th Hell in a Cell match. Cody's 1st Hell in a Cell match. Before the match even begins, here comes Seth walking down the aisle, and he pulls off his robe, and he's got on the black and yellow polka dots a la Dusty Rhodes. So, first off, I love the fact that he's in Cody's head already. He's trying to get his thing. He comes in. Cody gets in the ring. He's got on his Homelander jacket, looking sharp. And then he pulls off his jacket slowly, and you see all of the bruising, and the blood splatter, and all of the thing. And people in the crowd go from cheering to gasping because they see this man with his torn pec, and it's like, holy shit! Seth's circling, smelling the blood in the water.
That was the clip of the year.
Oh my God, it was crazy. And Graves is even like, did you hear the groan of the crowd? So, just before the match even starts. Before the match even starts, you're already like at a boiling point. I mean, they're already got you. You were simmering all week, and then as soon as Cody takes that jacket off and the bell rings, I mean, it's boiling. They come out hot, and Cody's working orthodox. You'd think that with a torn, right pec, he'd try to work, southpaw to try to use a little more of his body. So he's jabbing left. He's trying to stinging.
He's using his speed with his jab, man.
Yeah, he's beating him with his jabs, and he's trying to do things. And he jumps off the rope. He hits a Cody cutter, and he can't make the pin because he uses his bad shoulder to hit the move. And then he puts Seth in the figure 4. He's punishing him that way. Seth reaches under the ring, grabs a kendo stick, the plunder, as Dusty would say, and starts whacking him in the chest with this damn kendo stick and his torn pec, and he's like screaming in agony. And it's just the whole way through. He takes the kendo stick and he's just jabbing it into the pec and the shoulder of Cody, just torturing this poor bastard. And then
zero chill, no fucking mercy.
There's no chill. And then it's like he grabs a belt from under the ring that's got polka dots on it, like because Cody has the belt, the weightlifting belt. He pulls out a polka dot belt, starts whipping him with this, beating him in the chest, beating him back. Then Cody gets a shine for a minute, and then he goes, and then they run the steps, doing all this other stuff. Then, if that weren't enough, then we get the damn bull rope.
Sledgehammer.
No, not yet.
Right.
The bull rope. They get the bull rope, and Cody ties up Seth with the bull rope and starts laying in him with this bull rope because, everything that Cody does, which I love, there's a little bit of homage to Dusty because, his father was such an innovator in the business. I mean, think of all the things that Dusty has done with Starrcade and World War III and War Games and all these wonderful things at NXT. So Dusty has his fingerprints everywhere. So, of course, Cody loves his dad. And then he's just beating the hell out of him. Seth gets out of the bull rope. He gets untied, the strap, and then he starts just flurries back and forth. They're killing each other, more plunder, and then out comes the hammer, and Seth brings out the sledgehammer and he swings. He misses wildly. Cody hits 2 crossroads on Seth, and then he's going to go for the third, and he's like, you know what? He throws him down. He grabs a sledgehammer, crashes Seth across the noggin with it. He gets the 1, 2, 3, and now Cody is 3-0 against Seth. Beats him with a torn pec. Poor bastard can't even use half his body. And, it's just beautiful storytelling because, and I get really excited about storytelling because that's, to me, the best part about wrestling is that when you can get someone invested in what you're doing something right. And, every one of these matches that we've talked about last week, this week, we're invested in these matches. We remember these matches, and years from now, people are going to sit down and say, holy shit, that match with Cody and Seth at Hell in a Cell was, it wasn't necessarily a banger of a match. It wasn't a 5-star match by any means, a la Dave Meltzer, but it's one of those things that sticks with you because the visuals of the match were so just unbelievable.
Yeah,
the torn pec and the Dusty Rhodes outfit, everything. Guys, I'm done talking. Cut me off. Talk, please. Tell me what you want to know.
Well, I got to push back on the 5-star match thing. I don't know what Meltzer actually gave it, but I don't really care. I think that the match was a 5-star match, and do you have to do some ridiculous flips and video game stuff for it to be a 5-star match? No. Look at Flair and Funk, in the I Quit match there. That's one of the greatest matches of all time. None of them ever even left their feet, I don't think. So, what comes down to me is believability, suspension of disbelief, and story, right? But both of these guys are great workers. And when you look at a match, you have to take in consideration the perspective of that match and all the things that are in play with that. The fact that he had a torn pec and he decided to wrestle anyways, that gives it like 3 stars right there. He could have just stood in the ring and I give it to him because if anybody's ever torn any muscle, you know how bad it is. And to have to throw a punch with a torn pec, the positive side was completely ripped off the fucking bone, so it wasn't going to tear more. And that's literally why he said he was going to do it. He's like, well, it can't get any worse. It literally can't get any worse. So fuck it. I know I'm going to be gone for a while, so I'm going to go out on my sword, so to speak. And just the fact that he did that, like I said, even if it wasn't a good match, to me it would be a 5-star match just because of the story behind it.
That is a showman, man. Like, the show must go on. Like, I signed up. I signed the paperwork. I got to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are a few people in the sport currently. There are only a handful of people that are on the level in that conversation that can tell a story and get you emotional like Cody can in the right setting. I'm not saying he hits the mark 100% of the time, but some of the most emotional, in-ring kind of psychology matches that I like, that I can think of in the last, the 7 years have had Cody in. The match with his brother was just a tearjerker. One of my favorite matches of all time. Was it the first Full Gear, the first All Out, whatever it was? Yeah. Yep. I mean, Cody is just very, very good at showing emotions. He needs to go and do acting. His facial expressions alone, he takes so much care and time and effort into doing that. And like, that makes a huge difference, as silly as it sounds. Like, you can tell when someone is a bad actor when they're wrestling. You have to watch like little things that you do with your eyes when you dart.
You are always
down.
on.
Maybe
there's never
are you licking your lips, whatever it is. Like, every single little thing makes a difference when the camera is right there. And Cody is definitely on the top level of the ability to do that, in my opinion. So, and Seth Rollins is, obviously he's one of the best workers, active right now. And that match was exactly what it needed to be. They pushed the envelope for what could happen in a match with somebody with a torn pec, in my opinion. And because of that, I think it's a 5-star match.
I don't disagree with you at all.
I couldn't get to the ropes.
Could I have done that? No. If I had torn out
I couldn't take my fucking jacket off like he did with that. Like, speaking of it's the Homelander jacket, right? That's like just the entrance alone. And
that thing's heavy too.
It was great.
That thing's heavy.
Yeah.
That jacket weighs like 7 pounds.
I'm sure it probably weighs 40 pounds.
I just remember watching that match, and like there was all like this rumors and sizzle, and people like, you could hear people talking, and just the reveal of the jacket drop, and it was gasps. I'm just what is going on? So yeah.
There are a lot of homages to Dusty for sure in that match, I think, and that made it too. Like, that's so there. And then the fact that Dusty and helped Seth as well coming up, and I also, something that we talked about in a previous podcast, that wasn't the only thing that gave homage to Dusty. Earlier, I think it was that same night, Kevin Owens came out with the Dusty shirt on, and he had the elbow pad on that he did too. And I just thought it was very, very cool, because as much disrespect as Dusty got in the WWF,
posthumous,
I think it's very nice to see that he's getting his respect posthumously. Is that you said that? Posthumous?
If one person in this industry
posturally,
posthumously, if one person deserves their flowers in the industry of professional wrestling, it is without a doubt Dusty Rhodes. Virgil Dusty Runnels.
Sure.
I wanted Seth to win.
Steve, tell us how you feel about this Hell in a Cell match.
Seth didn't win.
Yeah, man.
Cody won that match, right? He won all 3. Yeah, I wanted Seth to win that one. I really wanted Seth to win, but that match, I remember where I was when Seth took that jacket off. When Cody took the
Cody won all 3.
Because I was watching on my phone, but I was at Piedmont Park, and I cursed because I didn't know what to say. I didn't know when to curse right here, but it was I let out a loud curse because I didn't know. That was just something to see. Yeah, what is he gonna do? Like, he had a whole match, and it wasn't just like a match. It was like a
yeah. It was a shock.
Yeah.
There were people speculating.
Yeah, I've never seen
it was
a
so
person
bad.
that
People were
color
speculating
before.
that it was like painted on and it wasn't even real, which it
Yeah,
was
I've never
real.
seen like a human person that color before.
I mean, that's how bad it was.
Different.
24 minutes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, Rob, you're saying it's 24 minutes long. So he wrestled for 24 minutes.
24 minutes, that match.
With a torn pec. It's definitely.
I had
epic.
big plans for Seth.
And something else we
year.
didn't mention too.
When,
it's interesting that you said that it was that you wanted Seth to win. Was that just because
I thought they was going to go? I thought that was going to go to Mania and
going?
Something like a triple threat or something with Roman, Seth, and Brock. I thought they was going to replay the whole Money in the Bank cash in at WrestleMania. Just give us a triple threat. I thought that's what we was getting. But it was just a good year for Seth overall. I like good things for Seth always.
Oh, that was a great.
That really would have been fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, the crowd definitely is loving this, Monday Night Messiah or whatever it's considered now or whatever. It's not actually my favorite Seth, if we're being honest. It's not that I don't like it. It's not my favorite.
I mean, he's so much better as a heel.
He's definitely better as a heel, for sure.
Today,
for sure.
The
only thing that bothers me is his laugh. I'm just not a big fan of the laugh. I think he laughs too much.
Yeah, it's nothing he does today.
I think it's too much. It's over the top. A little bit, but yeah.
Just completely chaotic.
The thing that I thought was crazy was when he and Becky Lynch were both heels, and she was big time Bex, and he was the visionary, the Messiah, whatever. And they would come out in these crazy outfits. And I personally feel that while they were at home, they were like, who can have the craziest outfit tonight? Because
trying to outdo each other.
Out in the weirdest shit, and then he comes out and
you can
one
look,
night he came out in a women's lingerie that looked like something that Nikki Bella wore on the red carpet to one of these.
Well, it looks like they were sharing a wardrobe.
Yeah,
it looked like they were just sharing a wardrobe.
They probably are.
Just like where did he get that silver sparkly suit? Where did that come from? And where
does he get these toys?
Yeah, why is it double-breasted, and why does it have like a plunging neckline? Like, what's going on here? Why is it wearing bell-bottom pants and these big giant
Irish
goggle glasses? And then Becky's coming out looking like goddamn Irish Pennywise. It was just like, what are you people trying to do here?
Pennywise, that was great.
What's the point?
Dancing a jig.
Yeah, why?
Because reasons, Rob. Because reasons.
That's right.
Well,
or like Eon Flux, basically.
Yeah. Well, Steve, I want to give you the final word.
Can I ask y'all a couple questions before we go?
Before we wrap it up, it has been our great pleasure.
Dang on it!
I hope you will come back and see us again. But the floor is yours, my friend. You got the next 2 minutes to say.
Do y'all follow NXT?
No.
Do y'all follow NXT?
Go ahead.
Somebody cut Justin's microphone. We'll answer your question.
I watched the last premium live event.
I did.
Not as much as I used to.
For the number one contender.
Not
I forgot
really.
what they called
Yeah,
it. It was like an
Rob
elimination style match. But it really showed they had the Iron Survivor, yes. But they
Deadline.
Yeah. I like it.
The Iron Survivor match.
But all the wrestlers in the men's match were amazing.
That was a Shawn Michaels,
I don't
baby.
want them to
that
go
was a
to
new
the
gimmick
main
match. Shawn Michaels came up with.
The main roster curse was always like there, but I feel like it's gone now. But it's so many guys at NXT that are there that I don't know what they can do with all that talent.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a very, very interesting point because I think it still remains to be seen if the curse is still there. I think there's definitely a better possibility that it is over because Paul Levesque is now head of creative. And
Vince
Paul
isn't pulling
Levesque
people because he needs to fill slots.
Yeah, exactly. He's pulling people because he likes them, and I'm sure obviously him and Sean have a very close relationship. So I think everything is just better in general. I think they're firing on all cylinders, and I think what's also interesting that I read recently, and it's kind of relevant to that, is that something came out recently that Tripp is very underwhelmed by quite a few of the rehires that he's done.
Heard this, yes.
100%.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I didn't see which ones specifically that they were talking about. I think Karrion Kross has done great. I love his gimmick. But like you said, he's been very underwhelmed by some of them. So I'm curious to see if you're going to see some people kind of back off that have been pulled up, and then maybe they do pull other people. But I think the roster right now doesn't feel overly bloated. I think it's good for the amount of time that they have.
I also think they're going to fumble this Bray Wyatt thing.
They've just got so much time that they have to fill. It's
Yeah.
like 30 hours a week of wrestling. That's ridiculous.
No kid. Going back.
Oh, you haven't watched SmackDown yet? Oh, yeah. Oh, okay.
Oh, man, please don't say that.
I hope not. They haven't yet.
SmackDown was really good.
You guys don't give me spoilers. I haven't watched SmackDown yet. I haven't watched SmackDown.
If y'all have any time, watch that match on NXT.
I know something happened.
That was a fire. I really like that
Iron
Survivor match.
It's still on my DVR.
If you have any extra time, that was really good. It was really good.
Actually, that is one that I did want to watch. Yeah. That is one that I did want to watch, actually, just because I heard about it. And again, we talked about anytime you hear something new in wrestling, it's very rare nowadays when you find a new gimmick match or a new gimmick match that doesn't seem convoluted. That seemed like it was put together well enough to where it's simple enough to where you can follow it. And it's not like, grab the Xanax on top of the pole to make sure that you don't have to marry this dude's ex-wife or something like that. It seemed like a very straightforward, forced marriage with drugs or something. It did not seem very Vince Russo. It seemed
whoever loses has to marry Vicky Guerrero.
Yeah,
exactly.
Oh my god!
I watch.
So are you? I got one question before we go. You've been talking about WWE quite a lot.
I watch
do you watch AEW at all, or
because the weekly content? Some of them, I get their matches. The thing with AEW, all their matches are always going to be good. The wrestling isn't the problem. Their storylines for me really fall. They don't. I don't know how to explain it. They just don't do well with storylines.
No, I don't disagree as of late. 4 months ago or so, or maybe 6 months ago, I would sit here and have an argument with you about it because both Rob and Ryan and myself are probably more AEW followers than WWE. But since the swap over with the debacle with Punk and then with Triple H taking over, there seems to be kind of like a turning of the tide, so to speak. And I've been a little bit more interested in the stuff that I'm seeing on the WWE side of things, and AEW has seemed a little stagnant.
What's your favorite
from a storyline perspective? But I will say that my favorite storylines and my favorite wrestlers still are in AEW. I mean, MJF and anything he does is always anything MJF does. We're all big MJF fans.
We are.
Anything he does,
the Big Bird
is always going to hit that. And pretty much everything Jericho does, he has probably the highest. There's the Burberry, the BBB as we call it, right? The BBB, the Big Burberry belt. Yeah.
Yes,
anything that Jericho does, his success rate on shots is like, Michael Jordan level.
Jericho put over Action and Andretti this past week.
That was
great. That was insane. You want to talk about the shock of the century, right? That's what as Tony Schiavone said, this is the biggest upset in the history of professional wrestling. He sold that shit, man.
Sold that shit. The Maryland Championship Wrestling Champion, Action Andretti. That guy's going to be a star. He was on Dark a couple of weeks ago against QT Marshall, and Jericho was like, "I like that kid. I'm going to put him over." What a blessing! What a blessing!
And that's why I love Jericho.
Yeah,
Jericho's the best. Well, boys.
So in case you don't know, Steve, when we I think we're ready to wrap it up. I was just going to tell Steve, in case he already didn't know, that
Really?
When they that
so y'all
when,
love the Jericho
we asked
Appreciation
ourselves what our
Society.
favorite
Y'all are
wrestlers were.
part
We
of the
didn't do
group.
this on purpose. I think it was on the first podcast.
In real life,
Picked
yes,
Chris
y'all
Jericho.
are.
So we're some Jericho fanboys.
Yeah.
We are.
Come on, baby.
We are the
I could be a
Jericho
Jerichoholic.
Appreciation Society.
I don't know, man. I think I'm more of a Jericho.
Watu Justin.
Jericho
Watu
Appreciation
Justin.
Society
There we go.
member.
There you go. I'm a Jerichoholic.
More old school.
I'm Jericho. I'm the Y2J. That's what they call me in high school.
Ooh,
Oh,
nice.
that's fantastic.
Yeah, they really did call me that in high school. That was really my nickname.
Fantastic. fellas, this was a hell of a show. Steve, thank you so much for coming on tonight. I am thrilled that you were able to join us. I know Ryan is, I know Justin is. Please come join us anytime. I love your feedback. I love your energy. Fellas, it is Hanukkah starts in about 45 minutes. So happy Hanukkah to those that celebrate. Merry Christmas to everybody who will celebrate. We wish you all the happiest of holidays and happy wrestling. We'll see you guys next time.
I have my oversized yarmulke on.
That's called a beanie, Justin.
That's a beanie.
Hey, it's my truth, Ryan. All right, it's my truth. Let me live my truth.
Chef, play us out.
Hashalim, shalom.
Play us out, Chef.
Tell it. All right, here we go.
Happy wrestling, guys. See ya.
Powered by Riverside FM.
Oh yeah, guys! Don't forget to like us, talk about us online, subscribe, all that stuff. We're on Apple Podcasts, and all the good things. But here we go. Drum roll out, and we are gone. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Steve.
Merry holidays.
Merry Chrysler.